put you in my sights.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Elite POV, where it's podcast time, and you know what that means. I am one of your hosts, Phil Cataldo, but you can call me Philium, alongside The Draw, Mrs. Cash Wheeler, Jacky Rodriguez. What is up?
What is up? I'm never going to get used to that introduction, but what's up, everyone? Happy Friday.
And we got to see each other this week. Again.
Yes, you had
Good times. Now, were you late? Absolutely.
Did you tell everybody to super kick me? Yeah, that did happen too.
Absolutely. Yes, because and we'll get to you in a second, Ant, but I got some beef with Jacky, okay? The fact that she was in our text messages saying, I'm going to wear this outfit, okay? The red pants with the FTR shirt with the FTR jacket. And before I left that day, I said, you know what? Maybe I'll wear my FTR jacket. We'll take a great picture. It would be great for us to match, have a good old time. And what ends up happening? She doesn't wear it. And it was 90 degrees. But besides the 90 degrees, she doesn't wear the outfit. Completely abandons me. Luckily, we still kind of matched, but then we forgot to take a picture. So
we did. Okay, I'm going to clarify a couple things. I did not say there was no FTR shirt underneath that jacket. I just want to point that out. It was a shot of the back of the jacket and the pants. So yes, I didn't wear the red pants, but no, I did not have an FTR shirt on. It was just a jacket. But like you said, it was 1,000,000 degrees, so I couldn't wear it. So yeah, but we still matched. Come on, man. That was better. It was better that way.
We matched, but there's no pictures to prove it. Only one video.
Yeah, we failed.
We got to get better at taking pictures. But also on this call, a man who we wished was there, the King of Talk Style, Anthony DiStefano, and the brand new producer of Elite POV. The producer who. That's why the show looks so good, because my computer is not in charge of it anymore.
Yeah, but now that you're recording the audio, you're getting really like pixelated, like your computer.
Am I?
Cuteness overload. But hey, I'm really excited to be producing this show. I'm really excited to be on this show. I wish I was there with you guys, because it looked like one of the best events of all time. I mean, you have one of the greatest opening matches I've ever seen in my life, and it was just something. It was a pleasure to watch at home, but knowing that I could have been in an arena surrounded by great people makes it hard. I had FOMO the whole time, but luckily, if you are in Philly October 6th, Jacky and I will be there for Dynamite in Philadelphia. So come say hi, come take a picture. Let's get a beer. Let's have some fun. But speaking of fun, that was a really fun night on Wednesday.
It was great. And just to start off the show, me and Jacky wanted to definitely talk about our experience there live, and also Ant's experience watching home, because I know me and Ant have kind of talked about during especially the CM Punk segment online. On TV, it came off a little different than for when me and Jacky were there. But let's just start off. Jacky, how do you feel the whole experience it was? Waiting in line, that long-ass line across the bridge, the crazy parking situation, getting in the building, what the compound looked like, just all together, how was your experience of just being in that building that night?
Yeah, I'm going to try to be objective. I won't complain too much. There were a couple things that were not necessarily great. Like, it was a pretty long walk from the parking to the stadium, and being charged $50 for parking, while it is kind of standard, it was just getting hit in the face with that reality again, that this is stadium life. But overall, the compound, around the is that technically what you would call it? Compound around the stadium was pretty dope. I liked it. I liked Arthur Ashe. I wish that there wasn't they predicted rain, and I guess that's why they had the roof closed. But if they would have had it open air stadium, I think that would have enhanced it just a little bit. But overall, I missed that atmosphere so much. I missed that whole big show kind of feel. Our seats were great. We were off to the side of the commentary booth, so we had a great view, entrance ramp, ring, and just how damn loud that crowd was. We came full force. You heard all 20K plus of us. And so, there were little things that could have been done better by the stadium itself, not necessarily by AEW, but damn, that was a freaking badass night to be a part of.
Yeah, and for me, like, I've never been to Arthur Ashe Stadium. And what Jacky says by compound is, let me try to explain it. So, you go to, we were in Newark the week before, right? Newark, whatever. We were there, all right? Or Madison Square Garden, Barclays. It's just one stadium. You walk into the stadium, it is what it is, right? Obviously, this is the home of the U.S. Open, and my stupid ass, who's never really watched tennis, you don't think, oh, there's multiple courts going on at the same time. And just the Arthur Ashe part of it is like the main area, right? So as you're walking in, it's like a giant complex with like multiple, courts and stuff all around. You first walk through the gate. They had the silent auction to the right, which snapped my damn fingers. I'm so mad at everybody. No one helped me get the Anna J gear. And I'm very upset about that. All right. And then to see that they only raised $3,000 was like, I might have been able to get that gear, because that means nothing really sold for that much money. But then the other thing, before we even get to inside the building, so there wasn't, the people who were doing the meet and greets weren't wearing masks, which sucks, because I could have met Santana Ortiz the way that I wanted to. But hey, listen, it wasn't worth the risk of paying $75 to take a picture where both of us wearing masks. There's always next time, so that's fine. I'm excited for everybody who got to meet them. Shout out to Mr. NYXL who got to meet them on Twitter. He got some great pictures. But as a venue, right, you walk in and it's just like, it's an unreal sight. And from what I saw on TV, it doesn't really do it justice. It was massive, super high ceilings. The way it was set up was great. Wasn't a bad seat in the house. Except for the people who are like behind the stage, it sucks. But I'm sure they had like a monitor in front of them. But man, it was so loud in there. And for people who are gonna watch Elevation this week, which you should be watching every week, when you hear Thunder Rosa come out because she has another match in Elevation, she was the first person who came out, and she got an extremely loud pop. And the main event for Rampage tonight is the Moxley Kingston match, and it's super loud for that match. And the hypeness of the crowd was through the whole show, all 5 hours of wrestling, and it's great to see. But what an atmosphere! I hope they do it again. There's reports that they're already trying to get a pay-per-view booked there. A lot of people are tweeting about it and stuff like that. So I mean, fingers crossed, right? We get that. I would love to do this as an every year trip. It's a great time. But how was it for you sitting watching at home?
I thought it came off super, super loud. I mean, that before Omega and Danielson even touched was one of the loudest. It rivaled in my headphones when Hogan and The Rock met in Canada and the crowd just became unglued. I haven't seen a moment like that since that WrestleMania. What was that, 18 years ago?
18.
Yeah, so it was 18 years ago. Maybe 19 years ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago. We're on 6 now or something. So
yeah. You
got to think, I haven't seen a crowd that into it. Like, I had to record it because my father's on vacation and we've been watching together. I had to record just that part and send it to him and go, they haven't even touched yet. Like, this is happening. They haven't even locked up yet. This is just them looking at each other. It was such a special night. It was such a special event. The mixing of AEW, I will get into this a little bit, it needs to be worked on. As the show's production has gotten a lot better, which I can say it has gotten a lot better. The camera cuts are cleaner. It's starting to feel more professional. When CM Punk was cutting a promo, they turned the crowd down so much that when he asked a question, like, how am I supposed to follow that? It seemed like the crowd just was like, and I'm like,
when in reality, it was super loud.
It was super loud because first off, one, it's fucking CM Punk, who we've all been waiting for 8 years. Two, he's asking about probably the best live match that most of that stadium has seen. So it was supposed to be loud, but it felt like an event. It was one of those times where, you would go home from school and you would wait and you would be so excited to watch pro wrestling on your TV. You would be, I got to get through dinner. I got to get this done. Then I got to get my snacks and I got to get ready because this event is happening tonight. And that's what I did. Like, I got home. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait. I got my snacks. I got my beer. Like, I'm ready to go. I cannot wait for 8 o'clock. And I just sat there watching the clock, waiting for it to hit 8 p.m. so Dynamite would be on.
And listen, I got to the building at 2:30 because
you definitely did.
Everybody was like, get there so early. we're gonna party, we're gonna hang out, and everybody ended up getting there way later. But it is what it was. It wasn't that bad. Doors opened at 5, so that was pretty good. And I had chicken fingers and fries because they have like little like not restaurants, but like little spots you can get food around the building, which was really cool. But yeah, so if you guys get the chance, maybe next year, make sure you definitely get these tickets to Arthur Ashe. The one thing I do want to say, because we want to be truthful here, and people are tweeting this online and stuff, the lines were out of control for everything, right? And
Yes.
and I understand. Well, people need to understand that this is a New York thing, right? New York is always packed. There's lines everywhere. That's just,
I
the
want
way
to
it
just
is.
be
Plus,
objective of someone who's I wasn't at Arthur Ashe, but I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been to enough events, concerts, and wrestling shows to tell you that this is not an AEW issue with the food and the soda taking so long, and that is an Arthur Ashe issue. And let me explain why.
Yep.
Because, and I said this to Phil, and we kind of made sense out of it. Arthur Ashe is used to having tennis events. Tennis events aren't as much. There's no bathroom break matches. There's not one point where there's going to be 15,000 people bum rushing the bathrooms and the food court, right? Tennis, you kind of go and come and go as you please. So these workers have never experienced anything like a wrestling crowd. So you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's the first one. You know what I mean?
They were definitely very overwhelmed. I don't know about you, Jacky, but I think it was like 2 matches into Rampage, I believe it was. I got up to get a soda, and the woman behind the counter was like, "How's the show going?" I'm like, "Oh, it's going great." And she's like, "You guys almost done?" And I was like, "Just 2 more segments to tape, and we'll get you guys out of here. I know it's been crazy." And they just looked so overwhelmed because, like Ant said, we're wrestling fans. It's like, oh, we don't like this match, so like 90% of the building gets up and goes to get food. Plus the merch lines, like the way it was set up, it was like a bowl setup, right? So there was probably only like 2 or 3 merch stands, but the lines were so long that they were all combining into other lines. They were starting
to like intersect. The one thing that I'll say to that note, yes, they were a little overwhelmed. Yes, the format is different. But on our concourse, there were, I think, on the map, there was about 6 or 7 different spots where you could get food at. And only 2, maybe 3 of them were actually open. That was my gripe. I'm like, you're going to have 20,000 plus people here. You would think you're going to have multiple locations within the concourse open, even if it's just for people to get water because it was so hot. People needed to hydrate, But yeah, I was surprised that so much stuff was closed. And I'm like, is this a COVID thing where they don't have enough staff to facilitate, But again, these are issues that are pertaining to the venue, not to AEW. So for people that, have their complaints, I just ask that you direct them to the right department and not be discouraged from going to AEW events because...
First off, I do want to tell you, too, if you need merch that bad, go on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Especially as someone who we were looking at the merch thing.
There's
right?
a couple special shirts, right? But
there was one special shirt, and it was a New York City shirt. It said All Elite Wrestling, and under it had like
the A was the A was the Statue of Liberty. Yeah.
Well, that shirt was on Pro Wrestling Tees. I own that shirt. You can buy that shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees still. But they had it said All Elite Wrestling, and it had like the train logos, like the
like the subway,
the subway
icon,
stuff, right? They had that. That was I guess an event exclusive shirt or whatever. And then they had autographed figures that were $100 a piece that were off to the side. Everything else that was there, you can buy online. People were literally waiting online. I saw this one guy tweeting, "Oh, I missed most of the show," and it's like, walk by the merch booth. It's all stuff that are on shopaew.com. You know what I mean? So it's like you also have to take account for yourself, right? And be like, what's more important, me getting this $30 t-shirt or me watching the wrestling show that I paid for? So it's like...
And that's why you get there really, really early. If you want merch and you're like, I want to hit merch. I want to hit... Like when I go to a Philadelphia Phillies game, I love the food inside Citizens Bank Park. I get there early. I hit all my food spots. I sit down and I watch the baseball game.
Yep.
That way I'm not, I missed a Bryce Harper home run because I'm in line for chicken. It's just like... that is in your control. And I see too many people bitching about stuff that was in their control. Now, you can't control the staff workers at Arthur Ashe, and I get that, but you got to give them some slack that they're not used to this kind of event. To be fair, wrestling events are a lot different than any other event. We went to WrestleMania in Orlando, and they ran out of water.
Yep.
Right? Because
they ran out of all drinks except beer.
They ran out of everything because they're not used to, like, hey, this is a piss break match. They're not used to getting bum rushed by 30,000 maniacs. You know what I mean? Like, that's not normal. Like, sports events, there's lines, but a lot of times people go to their seat, and there's the beer guy and all this, and they get drinks from them. Wrestling events are totally different, so you got to cut slack, and I think that stadium is actually perfect for a wrestling event because the way the seats look, they look slanted. Like I'm scared of heights, so I'd probably flip out because I would feel like I'm gonna fall.
They were definitely arched like this. Like when you were walking up to your seats, it wasn't like let's say, I mean, Barclays is really bad with it, but like Madison Square Garden, there's like levels, right? There's like, it's not that much of a high like arc or whatever peak, but yeah, that's how it is there, and it's great because that means no matter where you sit, you can see directly down into the ring because, of course, obviously they have the screens and stuff above the ring, but you had a clear line sight wherever you were sitting, which was great. But I definitely want to get into the matches of the night.
Let's talk about the matches.
Let's talk about a match that a lot of people, including myself, are saying is the match of the year. I don't think there's going to be anything that tops it, really. I know we're at the end of the year. It's only a couple months, but
number 2 on mine. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, we'll get into that. It's fine. We can have different opinions. But, so I want to start with you then, Ant. What did you think of Omega and Bryan Danielson?
It was the perfect storm of telling a story. It was the perfect storm of the fans wanting more, right? They have this great match. They have this epic showdown that we've all waited years for. And then the way it ends is in a draw. But my favorite thing was seeing Bryan Danielson have the freedom to wrestle the way he wanted to. And I think it was beautiful. The more I watch Kenny Omega, the more I'm convinced this guy is 100% the best wrestler in the world. He doesn't miss. He can have that match with anyone, but him and Bryan Danielson made magic that night. And Bryan Danielson, the through the chops and the kicks, and it was just very violent and hard-hitting. And that's what Bryan Danielson said. He said, you're going to see a more violent side of me that you've never seen. And we got to witness that. And, I didn't catch a lot of his Ring of Honor stuff as I was fading out of wrestling at that time, right? I remember him as Daniel Bryan, the guy from NXT, guy who got fired for choking someone out with a cord. Like, that's who I remembered him as. But you go back and you watch his Ring of Honor stuff, everything's stiff, everything's sharp. Like, that match was, I mean, in WWE, and for some reason, and this isn't a shot at WWE, I felt less nervous about Bryan Danielson than I have in years. Even when Kenny Omega ran full speed and gave him a V-trigger off the ramp, I was still like,
well, what about the suplex on the ramp?
Oh my god! Like
that snap suplex
that
on the ramp.
That Snapdragon suplex, yeah.
It just shows how good Kenny Omega is. I have it booked as number 2. I have it booked as number 2 because Lucha Bros and Young Bucks made me feel something that I haven't felt in years. So I have to keep that number 1. But God, I mean, what a perfect story! Like, you couldn't have a winner, right? And as soon as they said it was a 30-minute time limit, and this is just a wrestling fan in me, and then I didn't hear that 20 minutes left, 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left. They weren't announcing it, and then all of a sudden,
you didn't hear it. They were.
No, they weren't. They
were in the building. Nope, I don't know if the TV picked it up, but TV, Justin Roberts. Once he said it was like 10 minutes left. I looked over at Rob and I was like, oh, this is a draw. Because, they do that all the time, right? They always do that when the matches go long. But we started to notice, like, this is going pretty long. This might go the full half hour.
The announcers made no 10 minutes left, nothing until there was 1 minute left. And
the crowd must have been too loud then because it was definitely.
It was you heard it, right? Nuts in there. It was nuts.
You heard it in the building, right, Jacky?
Yeah. I mean, to that note, I would also add that because I did go back and watch the TNT feed because I just wanted to compare and contrast what the audience at home heard versus what we heard in the stadium. And I will say we benefited greatly by not having commentary on that match, not hearing the commentary. Because it's not that the commentary was bad. It's just that it took away from the experience slightly for me. And
that's fair.
There you go. Adam in the chat. Thank you. We didn't know until Excalibur said 45 seconds left. But I'm looking at the clock, right? I'm looking at because I'm like 30-minute time limit, which is weird because most of the matches had 20-minute time limits, right? They say 30-minute time limit, and I'm like, that's weird. But then as it's going, and I look down, I'm like, there's 10 minutes left. There's 6 minutes left. As soon as I was like, there's 4 minutes left, I'm like, nobody's winning this match. This is 100% a draw, and it 100% makes me want it even more. Give me more. Like, it was the perfect, like, dangle the carrot in front of me, pull it away, and revisit it in 6 months, and my adrenaline's going to burst through the roof.
Well, the cool thing is, like, in the past, when AEW does these time limit draws, because Tony Khan says he likes to do them every once in a while as like a reminder, like this is a real thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But when they've done it before, the crowd always boos initially. Now I don't know if when I was in the building that night, my hypeness and our section was going crazy for the match. I don't know if like that made me not really hear the boos, but when the match was over, it was more like, of course it was a draw. Like everybody was clapping like that's what we wanted, because whether you were going for either one of them or whatever, you didn't want the other one to lose realistically, right? Because Kenny's the champion and it's Bryan's first match in AEW. So you wanted both of them to win. So a draw is the best case scenario. And I think that the crowd not breaking into those boos immediately, if I remember correctly, is a sign of like this match is unreal, because we're just happy we got to see it. Forget about who won it.
I will
right?
tell you, on the internet right after it, people were like, "Oh, of course it's a draw," but it's like, think about it, guys.
That's the point.
Like, just think about
the way
because
it is.
First, Omega cannot lose, right?
Yep.
You had him lose to Christian. That was to get that title, Impact title off him, because he's an AEW main eventer. You had him lose to Christian. You're not going to have him lose again until it's Hangman Page beating him. A draw protects Danielson in his first match and protects your champion to look strong. So when the inevitable moment, when Hangman Page has his moment, it feels huge. It's not like, well, Kenny Omega loses. And that's what I love about AEW, right? They don't book their champions like shit. Their champions aren't going to lose 6 out of 7 matches on TV. They're not going to cheat to win. They're not going to... It's like Omega had no help in that match. And I love it.
Let's talk about our favorite spots of the match, right? Because we see the chat joining in. We have Josh Lopez saying the Poison Rana off the One Ring Angel was dope. I know you mentioned earlier the spot that everybody was talking about, even us in the arena, when Kenny does that long New Japan run that he used to always do and hits him with the hardest One Wing Angel, which of course for us is even more.
Well, the hardest V trigger.
Oh, sorry, hardest V trigger, and of course
he just flew like an angel.
Yeah. We get super invested because we know of Danielson's, injuries, right? His concussion injuries and stuff like that. So
but
was
when
like,
you were watching it,
like
were you aware? Like, this is a real conversation. I wasn't worried. I don't know why. I
wasn't worried about it, but there were spots like the V trigger spots, and then the spot like the Tiger suplex or whatever on the ramp. I was like, ooh, and the crowd even reacted to it too because we know his injury history. But Jacky, what about you? What were some of your favorite spots in that match?
I mean, that V trigger caught me really off guard, the one on the ramp. And I'll tell you why, because when he was walking up the ramp, I thought he was going to pull that like cowardly heel move where like, like forget about this. I'm going to go to the back. I don't care. I'll get counted out, like that kind of thing. That's where I thought that was going. So when he kind of turned around and did that slow, methodical, like, no, actually, I'm going to run down and I'm going to just like knee your freaking skull off of your body. That just like, forget it. It blew my mind. There were so many spots. I do worry because that's just naturally how I am. I not in the sense of that I think that either Danielson or Omega are unsafe workers, but it's just, it only takes one little fraction of hesitation, to hit your head or your neck the wrong way, and suddenly you're back in the same position. But the majority of what they did was just so damn smooth. that
it was
it wasn't like I wasn't fearful that something
Yep.
catastrophic was going to happen, but they made it look dangerous.
And the biggest compliment I think you can give a wrestling match is it's smooth, right? Like you said, it's you don't see them thinking. It's as real as it possibly gets, right? I guarantee you, they had spots in mind, but obviously they called all of that in the ring, right? I think you can kind of tell that. We got Oblivion in the chat saying Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. Here we go, busting out the cattle mutilation.
Oh my god!
Which was, and this is a move he used to do all the time in Ring of Honor, right? And he didn't do it in WWE that much, right?
I don't
here and there.
I mean, not off like.
Not often, but so it was cool to see him do that, and then to see like him fire up, and the spot where he's like punching the mat and he's going crazy. We got to see the Terminator dive from Omega. It was just phenomenal storytelling.
One of my favorite is when he dropped the knee on Omega, and Omega was hanging on the rope, just because the height, and I've seen a lot of pictures of it now. The height that Danielson got on it, it's just like he looks like he's like cruising. It was a masterpiece. Like Jacky said, it was just everything looked like it was gonna kill someone, but it was very safe. Like it wasn't catastrophic, but you felt in the moment like that person's dead. Like at any moment that match could have ended and we wouldn't have been shocked, right? We would have been like, oh well, he's thrown everything at him. Like Omega going for that Phoenix splash and missing. That move makes me more nervous because I'll never forget when he did it against Mox and he smashed his face on the wood when they ripped the ring up and he had the gash. And he hits his this dude doesn't put his hands out. He just smacks his face on the mat. Like Omega's a tough son of a bitch. But I love that. I love Omega didn't play the chicken shit card because it would have been so much easier for the Elite to come out and do this and do this and do this.
I'm so happy it was just a straight match to finish.
Omega stood tall, said, "I'm the champion. I'm the best in the world. I'm going to show you why it was a mistake coming to this company because I'm still better than you." And to me, that is something that I've craved as a wrestling fan. How many times, and this, again, I don't like to throw shade, but a guy like Kevin Owens, who's a prize fighter, why was he a chicken shit heel? Why does everyone need to be a chicken shit heel? You don't. You can be a fighting champion. You can be like Kenny Omega was, right? Kenny Omega stood tall. It wasn't even a title match, but you looked at him and you're like, that's the champion of the company. And he didn't need help. He didn't need anything. He just had a great wrestling match. And I feel like that's like a forgotten art. Like less is more sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was on free TV and it started off the show, which a lot of people in the building were like, oh shit. Like, and yet, I mean, maybe that guy who sent out that tweet was mad because he was on the merch line and he missed that match, right? I mean, it's one of those things where, you really got to pay attention because AEW can give you any match at any time. We're going to talk about it next, but putting the women in the main event is a big deal. And the fact that they gave us Kenny and
World
Danielson, exactly. They gave us, and I think we knew that it was going to be a draw the second it went on first because they were able to, it's key, right? We've seen in the past and we've heard Tony Khan say in interviews that a lot of times the main event is victim of other matches going over. Like we saw with the Moxley-Suzuki match, right? His intro got cut because they were probably running long on time. But you put this match first, you give us exactly however much time they need, that's the time we're going to get. And that's what they gave us, and it was just phenomenal. So any final thoughts on this match? Jacky, I'll start with you.
I think that personally, that was my match of the year. And maybe I might be slightly biased because I was in the building to really get the full experience of it. Because, Ant did say like that Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers match tore the roof off. But there's something very different about being there in that atmosphere in person and witnessing it and feeling how monumental of a moment it is. And to me, I'm like, I don't know what's going to top it, if anything could top it. But as it stands, that's my match of the year right there.
Until
CM Punk fights Hook, it's definitely up there because send me Hook.
But no, honestly, when Kerry fucking just slide punches you in your sleep, bro. Don't be bad.
Listen, that means she got over here somehow, right? So come
on,
that's
true.
Bring it on.
Win-win.
Get over here, right? No, so again, this match was everything we wanted. There's no better company in the world at having these big fight feels. right? Like, there's so many big fight feels, and they had them a lot on that card. Like Cody and Malachi felt like a big fight feel. Ruby and Britt felt like a big fight feel. Danielson and Omega is a match we've all dreamed about. And the beauty of it is we get to revisit it, and we know we get to revisit it because they left the storybook open. They didn't close it. There was no end of a chapter. It's just, it's waiting to be written. And, you know, I love that they made it non-title for one, because they do have rules, they have stipulations, and they seem to play on that. And putting the women's match last shows that this was the world championship. The world championship goes on last.
Yeah, and we can transition right over to that. So, you know, very shocking to me, and I think that it really makes the words that Tony Khan said in one of his last couple of interviews on Busted Open, where he was talking about how, you know, women's wrestling is very important to him. We've seen rumors over the past week that they may be introducing a newer title similar to the TNT title for the women, so that would be incredible. Hopefully those rumors are true.
They're saying a TBS title?
Yeah, the TBS title.
That's cool.
That's what the rumor is. That's what the rumor is. So having Britt Baker and Ruby Soho main event, the biggest show in AEW history. It's just a fact. It's the biggest crowd they've had, the most media attention they have, their first time in New York. So it was a huge deal, right? Especially on a card that has Omega and Danielson on it. So it shows how much trust and how much star power they think Britt Baker has, because it is absolutely incredible. But Jacky, what did you think of this match just as a whole?
Well, I don't like it's very a near and dear subject to my heart as a female wrestling fan to see these moments happening. You talk about the level of trust that the company has in their stars, but also the fact that they see it as this is a championship match. It's not a women's championship match. It's a world title match. And they're treating it with the dignity and the respect that a world title match deserves to go on last as the main event. And you had the crowd super split. You know, half were chanting for DMD, the other were chanting for Soho. And, you know, I don't know what they're going to do with Britt. Because I know she's supposed to be a heel, but she never feels like a heel. She's so freaking over. It's unbelievable. She plays to the crowd. Once again, she had her moment where she finds the camera, and it's just like she knows where it is at all times.
She finds it. It was going to a commercial. Like, how do you know, like, that I'm going to get right in the camera's face commercial? And it's like,
she's the best in the entire industry at doing that.
Yeah. I don't think, you know, like I don't think the crowd gave it as much as I would have hoped that they would, because by that point everybody was exhausted. And, you know, I don't know if it suffered slightly just because of the slot that it was in, but all things considered, the crowd was still super into it.
Now, and I'm sitting in the crowd though, so this is just me because I'm home.
Yeah.
10 o'clock, I mean, I work all day. I'm exhausted, and I've only been there 2 hours. You're now in the third hour, going on to 5 hours, right? Which
plus your travel time.
Yep, it's a long
it's a lot.
Did you reserve energy because you felt like you had to get up for the Punk match? Like, you still had all these matches.
Yeah, we still had 2 hours of taping to go.
Yeah, were you still like, okay, like, I don't want to blow out my voice yet because Cash Wheeler's thighs might come back on. Like how did you, in your head, how did you, like, use it? Because that's a real question, because I know, you know, I will go hard, but if I know CM Punk's wrestling, I want to have some energy for when I get to see CM Punk wrestle, you know, like.
Yeah, I don't know where you have to pull it from, because I somehow managed to keep the energy going. I'm like, I don't care if I deplete myself by the time the night is over. Just, like, you know, somebody get me on a stretcher and wheel me out back to the car. But I was going to give, especially for that match, because of the significance of it, I'm like, Britt, now this is her second main event on national television. I'm like, I want to give this everything that I have, because they're killing it out there and they deserved it. So, but the right person won that match. I'll just say that.
And during our preview show, if you guys listened, I definitely thought maybe Ruby winning would be a thing, especially being in that building when they were the main event. I was like, oh shit, maybe Ruby's actually gonna win and they're gonna end the show with this like great moment. But I mean, like you said, Britt Baker is equally a heel as she is a face, right? She's so over that even when she does like cheating ways to be a heel, people are so excited for her to win. Everybody does a DMD. It's like one of the loudest parts of any AEW show. And it was a great match. I had a lot of fun watching it. I definitely want to shout out Scott, who sat with us, and goes, right before the match starts, he goes, I'm going to go get a water real quick. And he missed the whole match.
Horrible idea.
He came back and he was like, it's over. And I'm like, dude, you were gone for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. What do you expect, bro? It was so funny.
I think the match was really good. Again, I love Britt Baker. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think she's going to put on the best wrestling match, right? I don't think she's ever going to have. I mean, her and Thunder Rosa struck lightning with the one. But I don't think Ruby Soho is the better wrestler. I'm just going to say Ruby Soho is the better professional wrestler, in my opinion. But there's no character on the roster like Britt Baker. So I think the better wrestler and the best character going at it made for great TV because you didn't know who would win. Like, I literally was like, oh shit, they're going to take the title off Britt at like multiple times during that match. But then you start thinking, no, now why is this here? What are they going to shock us with? What's going to happen? And I saw people actually disappointed online that there was no surprises. And I'm like, we literally have been that spoiled that every time they run a show, you expect something like who Jesus H. Christ is going to come out next. Like, they can't bring out anyone right now. Like, and you don't want them to, because then people fall down the card. The more people you sign, Jungle Boy slides down, Sammy slides down, Darby slides down. And it's like, no, that's not what they want to do here. They want to build them up. So why jam a roster where no one can get on TV? Like, I know that their women's division needs help, but this match was about your biggest star in your company, Britt Baker, versus your new star who finally gets the chance that we all wanted to see get the chance, Ruby Soho. And it was beautifully done. Not the best wrestling match, not the best women's match of the year, but my God, I was invested and it was fun. I don't care if it got 2 fucking stars, 3 stars. I had fun and I was questioning who was going to win. And that's all I can ask from a pro wrestling match.
It was a great main event, and I think a really great way to end the Dynamite version of Arthur Ashe. Now, another match that I want to get into, of course, is our boys FTR versus Sting and Darby Allin, which is an incredible match. Now, Mrs. Cash Wheeler herself, I want to start with you.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Seeing your boys again after just a short week.
The trifecta. That's the 3rd time.
If you guys follow me on Twitter, you will have seen my live reaction to FTR coming to the ring. I may have broken the sound barrier. I should have lost my voice on that, but I didn't. It's just, and we were right by the heel tunnel too, so that made it even better because I'm like, perfect view of these guys coming in.
You were on the complete opposite side of us. We were on the side of the face tunnel.
Yeah, no, we could like literally see them like before they even got into the tunnel. That's kind of where we were. But yeah, that match, as much as I would love to sit here and make this an FTR podcast, I gotta shout Sting out on that match.
God, Sting was
a man in
incredible.
his 60s. I'm 33 and I can't even like do like a quarter of the stuff that's going on in that match.
I'm out of breath walking up the steps.
Yeah, and I'm like, this guy,
I'm like, breath sitting here.
He's, incredibly fluid and like, just I could not believe it, because the assumption for me is always that a guy at his age, they're going to let Darby carry, 80% of the match, and then they'll just have Sting come in for a few spots and just kind of like make his moments. But no, I'm like, he was in there, he was doing his thing, and I'm like, this is an incredible run for a guy who is in his, or is he 62 now? Is that like
60? Yeah,
62.
Yeah, just unbelievable.
The incredible part too is, I don't know if you noticed this in the stadium, how quick he gets up after hitting a move. Like, he's 62 and he gets up like quicker than most of today's stars. Like, he hits like a suplex and he pops up and you're like, You're 62. How did you get up? Like, we're so used to seeing the old stars that are poor Undertaker, right, in his hip. Like, takes him 10 minutes to get up. It's longer than his entrance. But you see Sting hit it, and he pops right back up, and you're like, how? Like, he doesn't look 62. He does not look 62. He looks like he's like mid-40s in the ring.
Yeah, that's what I meant, like, in terms of fluidity, like, where, it's one thing for him to, like, get a guy up for, like, a power bomb, like, or a powerful move where it's, like, explosive, boom, but it's done. And then you go on, like, little lull until the next spot. But I'm like, no, the transition from move to move. And, shout out to, I'll go back and shout out FTR too. They, like I said, they can't have a bad match. They always bring out the best in their opponents. And I think they worked with Sting to make him look even better than he already was looking for, for somebody at his advanced stage.
As they love the business, imagine how much fucking fun they were having.
Oh,
imagine
100%.
how much fun they were. Like, they are wrestling purists, and you're in there with Sting. Like,
with Tully Blanchard on the outside of the ring, and Sting there. It's like, damn, what a life.
What a moment.
Also,
and the one
I
thing...
want to add that coffin drop was the only time I've ever feared for Darby, because he looked like he broke his fucking back.
No, bro. What about the coffin drop he did to Ethan Page when Ethan Page was in the coffin? It was like, all right.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like you're falling on like a table. Like this dude literally, like, the ring is here and his back hit, and he was like,
oh, he did that, and he's done that on Dynamite before, where he just did a straight back bump on the side on the apron. He's done it before, straight back.
I don't think he's gonna have a long career, and I love him.
Dude, it's gonna be a fun ride, but it'll be a short ride.
Yeah.
What is that saying that we're here for a good time,
not a long time?
Yeah. The one thing that I noticed from where we were sitting, and I wonder if Ant, you noticed this on TV. So FTR are one of the few, if not the only, tag team who definitely puts an emphasis on holding that tag rope. And
all the time.
There was this one spot in the match where I think it was Cash who did it. Sting was on the apron next to him, and instead of like letting go and like hitting Sting, he was holding the rope, and he like pulled and it was like, I can't reach you because I'm holding the tag rope. Like, it's those little things that add so much to the match, right? It just adds so much of a storytelling element to it.
There was a tweet, and someone wrote a tweet, I think it was today, that said, God bless FTR because their tag team matches feel like tag team matches when a lot of times it just feels like a fatal four-way with tag teams, right? Everyone's just fucking flying all over. There's no counting. There's no 3-second out. But FTR just does such a good job. And fucking, first off, brilliant gear. Brilliant NWO gear.
If nobody had said it, I was going to say it.
Can I get the FTR shirt in the NWO logo? Because I want that.
Yep.
That will be my FTR shirt. And that's Sting's kryptonite, right? NWO was Sting's kryptonite his career. Like,
you're right. I didn't even think about that till just now. That's so true.
Yeah.
Like, who did
so
Sting
true.
on TNT? What made WCW rank number one? It was Sting versus the NWO. So it was a beautiful nod to pro wrestling history. And again, it's just those little things like you said, Phil, holding the tag rope, getting out at 3 seconds, only one breakup per match, which is a tag rule. You can only break up the pinfall once per match. Not many people notice that. FTR do that. Watch their matches.
Yeah, it's just they make you get invested in tag matches, and like you said, and like that guy, the person tweeted out. I think I saw it earlier. As great as the Lucha Bros are, as great as a lot of these teams in AEW are, it definitely does seem they all seem like tornado tag matches, especially if Rick Knox is the referee. Good luck.
Oh my God, yeah.
When you guys watch the Rampage episode tonight and you see that huge 8-man tag, good luck, because it's just chaos, right? And it's still a great match, but it is pure chaos. But like with FTR matches, it feels like a real throwback tag match, and we've talked about it every week, it seems, right? If you cannot have a good match with FTR,
you just can't have a good match.
That's your own fault.
They would
It's your
carry
own
me.
fault.
They would carry me. I'll tie up boots and I'll get in the ring. We're having a 4-star just because of them. Like, if it's in Japan, 100%. They're probably getting 7. Like, that's it.
Yeah, me and VSK, who is my wrestling doppelganger, we're gonna get in there. We'll be twins or some gimmick or whatever, and we'll go out there and get our asses kicked.
I
could run the ropes for like.
I just
10
think
seconds.
that was perfectly. a lot of times these matches are like novelty matches, right? You get to see Sting, and that's what you think about it. It was so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It felt so much more meaningful. Obviously Sting gets the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fine.
But
no big deal.
But it didn't feel like, okay, like this was Sting's like swan song. Like everything's about Sting. Like he got his ass beat. Like dude got his ass beat,
He sure did.
And I just, again, it's just even the matches that are special attractions. Sting's only going to wrestle 5 times a year. It's a special attraction, right? But it felt like such like, I don't know, it's just done differently. Where if FTR would have won, I wouldn't have been shocked. And usually in special attraction matches, like Sting would just bulldoze anybody. And it would be, okay, here's your 2-minute, like Jacky said, hot tag, Sting's in, boom, boom, done. No, like Sting took a beating. And at one time, I'm like, damn, like FTR is about to keep winning and get to that tag title picture. Sting looked great, and he looked like he deserved to win. It wasn't like he got carried to it. He looked like he could hang.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
FTR's the best.
But I am curious to see where they're going to go with this now, because I don't think it's done. No. I don't think we're going to get that that initial attack, one match, and then that's it. I want to see where this goes next, and I hope that they continue on at least another match.
Yeah, I'm for that.
Listen,
and
with the way it's going, that shit would be fire.
Tully had a match this past year, right? Was this year or the end of last year? Tully was in a 6-man tag with FTR.
Yes.
So they can get a couple minute match out of him, whatever. And that's what, another one of the many things that I love about AEW is they really honor and showcase these legends in a way where they don't embarrass themselves. Maybe Tully and Sting can only wrestle a 5-minute match. There'll be enough people around the ringside that can get them through a 10-minute match, right? Because with the shenanigans or stuff, the entrances, like it'll be a good segment. And I'm looking forward to it, which is something crazy I thought I'd never say. I'd want to see 2 like 60, 70-year-old men fight each other, but here we are. AEW is the best.
Yeah.
Now, another match that I want to touch on from that night, Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes. And before we get into the match itself, I like to just announce something to people on Twitter and a lot of the people who were there live in our section. Cody Rhodes was not dressed like Superman. He was not dressed like Captain America. He was not dressed like Evel Knievel. He was dressed as Homelander.
He did look like he was dressed like Evel Knievel.
He was dressed like Homelander.
My man was a motorcycle away from jumping the Grand Canyon.
Listen,
don't lie to me, boy.
I get it. But he was dressed like Homelander. From The Boys, and even The Boys' official Twitter account.
No, yeah, he was
tweeted about it.
Yeah, but he did look when he came out.
The cape was super long.
When he came out, I was like, "Oh, he's Evel Knievel."
No, he's Evel Knievel.
He did. He looked like he was gonna like ride a motorcycle over the Grand Canyon or through a ring of fire.
He was his version of Homelander. We definitely popped for that. And also before we get into the match, shout out to Brandy Rhodes for bringing back. What a great moment it was for her to come back. Low key, what a great moment for her to be back. I'm definitely excited for them. And it adds another layer to Cody. And, during the match, I'm sure we'll get into, we started seeing tension between him and Arn, which is cool. And it's a lot of fun that Brandy's back because let's see where he goes in this new direction. But, Jacky, we'll start with you. What did you think of this match?
Can we talk about that Malachi Black entrance and how it just keeps getting infinitely more and more badass, especially with that LED ramp and all the effects that like.
Sick.
Shout out to the LED ramp. I don't know if they can do that weekly, right? I don't know if that was just a big stadium thing, but more of having that at shows. Because even during like Kenny's entrance, you saw the title and just all the cool effects that we've seen them use throughout the night. It was definitely an excellent addition to the show.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I did not expect Cody to be cheered at all when he came out, obviously. But he wasn't booed as badly as I thought he was going to be. And I don't know if that was partially because, there was a little bit of a pop when Brandy came out. It was kind of unexpected, although from our vantage point, again, we literally saw her before the crowd saw her.
Yeah, which was interesting. She came out the heel tunnel.
Yeah, well,
right, it's interesting.
Logistics. Arn comes out one, Brandy. That's what I just think. It's logistics.
Yeah,
you're gonna have Arn come out and then you're gonna have Brandy after him. No, have them both come out the same. Like
yeah.
But
I guess it's a good way to put it.
So
But
that was a match that I personally, and I know a lot of other people were concerned about the potential for the outcome, because we were all thinking like, I don't know, Malachi Black won the first one, Cody's going to take the second one, and you know, the general consensus was we didn't want that to happen because we didn't want Malachi Black's momentum to be killed. But the way that they ended up booking the ending of that match could not have been more perfect if they tried. At least in my opinion, where we saw that edgier side of Cody, where he pushed the ref, just before the ending, before he got, that mist spit in his face. So it's like, are we seeing the glimpses of a man that's becoming desperate? And, like to try to gain his, momentum back, or, so I'm like, I'm here for that. I'm here for like conflicted Cody. But I'm also here for the fact that he didn't win.
Yes.
Thank goodness. Malachi Black took that win.
People were on Twitter were tweeting about how very similar to when John Cena used to get booed back in the day. Cody did a good job of acknowledging it, right? He didn't try to baby face his way out of it. He didn't try to kind of commit to being a good guy more than he should have. So I thought that was great. It was a lot of fun. He did do a lot of like little heel things in the match, like you said, pushing the ref and stuff, which is a lot of fun. Aleister Black, or Malachi Black, I should say, is my favorite wrestler right now. So I was very nervous that he was going to lose. Only because, like, I was okay with Cody winning. In reality, it's just I didn't want any match to get like filled with boos afterwards, right? I wanted, this is too big of a night for people to be disappointed in anything. So I was very happy that it ended up with a decision that everybody, most people, right, were happy about. So that was a lot of fun. And just Malachi's the best, man. His moveset, and then the one spot where he does the flip, the moonsault in the ring, and he sits Indian style, and then Brandy slid in the ring and then stuck her middle finger up at him while also sitting Indian style, was fantastic. Shout out to Rob for taking the best picture of that. It's just it's one of those things where it's like, what a great moment, right? And that's why I'm happy Brandy is back, because without having Brandy there, I feel like Cody lost a little bit as far as entertainment value, at least for me, because I always love seeing them together, right? Even when they used to do the stuff in Ring of Honor, the stuff in New Japan, it's always been great to see them together. But, and what'd you think about it, watching it at home?
Malachi Black is fucking unbelievable. And I think Malachi Black is probably one of the best characters that they have going. But like with any Cody Rhodes match, while it feels like a big fight and I love it, it also feels superly overproduced. And that is just how Cody books his matches, and it's cool for story purposes. But then you have stuff like at the clusterfuck at the end with Arn Anderson being on the wrong apron. Then he has to say, no, Arn, go over there. Then Arn falls for real, gets back up just to fall again, just so Malachi can get the black mist, kick him in his, or spit in his face, whatever he does, and kick him and kill him, and it's just like all of that happened, and I didn't need Arn Anderson. Now I get it. Jacky said it perfectly. Is it looks like they're gonna be having some turmoil. I think Jacky said it, or Phil, turmoil between the two with Arn and Cody, and now Cody can say Arn cost him the match, and the whole story, right? There could be a whole story, but the fact remains is we don't need the overproduction of all of the endings. Like, I have a funny riddle story that Phil knows with Cody about a spot, and it's just when he tells it, you're like, that is Cody 100%, because Cody's endings are never clean. They're never. It's always
super complex. There's a million things going on.
It's the comic book superhero thing in him, right? All the endings of comic books seem to get messy and crazy and something, cliffhanger. But it just seems like sometimes something always goes wrong where it doesn't get executed. And it's almost like, just give Malachi the win with the mist. I didn't need Arn. I didn't need Brandy involved. I didn't need any of that involved. Brandy could have came out and they could have went back into the tunnel and give Malachi
I like Brandy out there.
Yeah, but
it adds a lot to him.
She didn't get involved besides the middle finger, that was a cool spot. But the Arn thing and stuff like that, we don't need that. Just let Malachi beat you. Just I don't know. I liked it. I like I said, I don't think Cody Rhodes is ever
I really liked it. Actually.
Cody Rhodes
Yeah.
is going to give you.
I love the mist ending. It just adds another layer to Malachi, right? Because I've never seen Tommy End or Aleister Black do that. I mean, maybe Tommy End did it when he was in England.
Paint
but
now is starting to spread, and now the beard's turning black. Like this is eventually going to be a full thing. If you
remember, for people who didn't see his like hype video before he signed
the mental hospital video.
Yeah, so Malachi and Aleister and all these, like, he is still Tommy End, but these Malachi Black, Aleister Black, they're like demons that have taken over his body and are making him do these things. So like with the Malachi stuff, that's a great point that you pointed out. It's like the more stuff he does, like the more he hurts people, it's kind of spreading throughout his body. And Tommy
Did you
End
see the
talks
clip
a lot
when
about
like the clay guy that was like, ah! And his whole face was painted like Malachi's is now, but it was the whole face. If you go back and watch it, there's like a little clay, like weird, creepy thing, but the whole face has the black eyes and everything, and that's what he's going to evolve into.
Yeah, I thought of it as like a decaying thing, like his like like his blackness of the soul, like he's kind of just falling into darkness or something like that, and it's almost like the rotting of flesh kind of deal, or decaying of flesh. That's how I viewed it. But regardless, the complexity of the storytelling here is just awesome.
Yeah. I just think,
and
again,
if you guys
this isn't me shitting. I don't want everyone to be like, oh, Anthony hates the match. I liked the match. I did. I just
we make fun of you for hating enough things.
No, but to me,
Orange Cassidy,
like Arn doesn't need to take bumps. He's like 70 years old.
I know. Adam in the chat is saying,
yeah,
that.
I
100%.
It just, you can overproduce something, but like when you try it with Arn, and Arn, like we saw you point to him to go to the other apron. When he really fell is when Cody should have just said, okay, audible, Arn, stay down.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Arn? And no, Arn gets back up and you're like, this motherfucker's going to go boom again. Like he's going to fall down again.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm. But the one thing I definitely want to mention is with the Malachi stuff, if you guys are able to catch him on Twitch, he still uses Zelina Vega's old Twitch, the @Thea Trinidad on Twitch. And he does a lot of cool streams where he kind of breaks these things down, where his mindset is and the stuff that he's into, all the stories and stuff he reads, right? All these, he gets all these crazy ideas. And like with Malachi on one of his Twitch streams, he kind of explained where it came from and stuff. So that, like what Ant said, I guarantee you that's exactly what it is. Like what you guys are saying. He's decaying. It's taking over him. He's going more into the darkness. I could definitely see him putting a lot of thought into it because he's an extremely creative person. And one of, when he signed, he said one of his favorite things about being in AEW is he's allowed to be as fully creative as he wants to be. We know AEW definitely lets these guys and girls do, whatever they want creatively, as long as Tony approves of it, of course. But I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. And like we've said a million times, just really happy Cody Rhodes did not win because it did not suck the air out of the crowd. It's the only thing I was afraid of. But any final thoughts on this week's AEW Grand Slam? I'll start with you, Ant.
My final thoughts is this is exactly what wrestling needs. And I know people are going to bitch and complain and say, oh, it was on live TV. It should have been pay-per-view. And listen, it's a growing company, and my favorite thing is 3 months ago we were saying, look at AEW's ratings compared to NXT, and now it's look at their ratings compared to Raw. You know what I mean? It's like, Jacky, you're frozen on my screen for some reason. It's look at this. I? Yeah, shut your camera off and turn it back on. Record. It's like compared to Raw, and so are you, Phil. I don't know what the hell's going on here. This whole thing, this whole thing comes unglued. It's overproduced. It's bullshit. it needs to be fixed. It's like a Cody Rhodes match. But I just think everything that AEW is doing is making me fall in love with wrestling. And that's all I think about, and that's all I talk about again. And shows like this show why. And I can't wait for 10 o'clock tonight to sit down, watch Rampage with you guys, have a couple beers, laugh, and that's all I want is wrestling fans being happy. Everyone looks happy again. Everyone looks like they're having
the fans,
fun.
the wrestlers,
Everyone
referees.
looks like they're having so much fun, and I think this show should be a yearly thing, and I think it will be a yearly thing. As we know, that special events are supposed to be on TNT once every quarter for AEW. And I believe that this Arthur Ashe show will be moved to Saturday nights, and it will be the big show on TNT. And I think next year we're all going together and sitting together.
Oh, 100%.
Hell
absolutely.
yeah.
100%. And shout out Triangle Mans in the chat. The A in AEW stands for quality. You are 100% right. Any final thoughts, Jacky?
Oh man, this could not have been a bigger deal. And I don't know how anybody could complain about getting something like this for free. Like, that's just like mind-boggling to me. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the upcoming weeks, because as CM Punk said, how do you follow that? It felt like a big deal. They booked it like a big deal. They sold it off as one. And to me, the show completely delivered on it. It could have been 3 hours, 4 hours, and it still would have been freaking great. And I would have loved every second of it. But I mean, being there in person, it felt like you were part of a historic moment. And yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about it.
The coolest part is we get to watch. I mean, I know you guys were there, but us who weren't, we get to watch it again tonight.
Yeah.
That's the coolest fucking thing.
I
cannot
watch it. I cannot stress how incredible Rampage also was. So
yes,
it was so much fun.
Get ready, because man, there were a few matches on that card that were
incredible.
They were freaking great.
I'm not big on rumors, but next Wednesday could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not big on rumors, but next Wednesday could be a lot of fun.
And as great as it was going to these last two shows, man, it's going to be great not having to drive after them.
I can't wait for
my final thoughts. Yeah, my final thoughts are, when we used to do Rant with Ant, me and Ant used to always say WrestleMania weekends, SummerSlam weekends. The best part of these shows were hanging out with your friends, meeting new people, having great experiences, and the wrestling came second. My favorite thing about this company is we still have that, right? The crowds are still there. A lot of our friends are still here. Shout out Ella being here. And then the wrestling is exceptional on top of that, which is like a win-win, right? We don't have to sacrifice. Like, the wrestling might not be as good. We might see one good match or one cool moment, but the experience will be fun. Now, the experience is a lot of fun, plus the wrestling is just some of the best wrestling you're going to see anywhere in the world, on any company, anywhere. And it's definitely the best time to be a wrestling fan right now. And I think with my entire heart, AEW is the best company out there. And if you're not enjoying it, you're just not a pro wrestling fan. I'm sorry. You can watch other companies, you can do what you got to do, but if you're not enjoying AEW, even one segment doesn't get you, you're not a pro wrestling fan. You're not as big as a fan as you thought, because this company is exceptional. And also, before we get out of here, shout out to Tony Khan. Anybody who goes to any of these live shows, Tony Khan comes out before the show, gives a little speech, gets the crowd ready. When the show's over, he comes out, thanks the crowd, and gets you prepared for what's happening after Rampage. And this guy's enthusiasm is just so high. He's always so positive. He gets super hyped. Me and Rob and Scott were laughing because he's like, Rampage! Rampage! He like screams it with like his entire chest, right? And it's just so much fun. Yeah. It's just so much fun to see that this guy is literally living his dream as a diehard pro wrestling fan and getting to give this.
Speaking of the spoiler Wednesday night, you see the chair rocking in the background?
Yeah. He's here already?
Yeah. Run. Oh.
You planted her. You set that up.
I text her. I said, come on down. Look at her.
Come on down. How did you do this? It's like,
yeah. It's the future.
We're live, pal.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Elite POV. And let them know where they can find you.
You can follow me at Game of Ant, twitch.tv/Game of Ant. I'll be live every Thursday night, after Elite POV for GEOW, I'm only doing one show a week as I'm getting ready to move and getting ready to do a bunch of shit. I can't do 2 shows a week and do this. I'm really focusing on growing this. We're really focusing on trying to make this one of the premier AEW podcasts. So look out for Patreon, look out for exclusives, look out for special stuff. Go to our merch shop. Any way you can support, it goes back in to what we're trying to create here. We're trying to capture lightning in a bottle twice like we did with RWA. They say it's impossible, but I think it's very probable. So make sure you follow us. Look out for a giveaway at 400. Shout out for all the giveaways already. Jackie's probably broke by now. And look for a special promotion video coming soon.
Yeah, that is in the works. Jackie, let them know where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter at LoveYouMake24.
Shout out to Mama POV in the chat.
Mama POV.
Shout out. You guys can follow me at Big Sith Energy. You can follow the show at Elite POV on Twitter, at Elite POV Clips on TikTok. Search us on YouTube. This entire video will be up on YouTube, most likely tomorrow. And just stay tuned. We're available anywhere podcasts are found. And thank you guys for listening to Elite POV. And remember, you don't need a hat to be a cowboy. Bye.
Adios.